In a New York courtroom in 1904, an investigator holds up a child's life preserver taken from a burned ship. He tears it open in front of the jury. The cork inside is dead. It crumbles into gray dust and drifts to the floor. Then he weighs it. And inside the canvas, sewn in where no one would ever look, he finds bars of iron. 7 iron bars in a life jacket made for a child. That morning, on a ship burning in the East River, mothers strapped those life jackets to their children and threw them into the water to save them, and they watched their children sink. 1,021 people died in New York City that day. Most of them were women and children. It was the deadliest day in the history of New York, and it stayed the deadliest day in the history of New York for 97 years, until the 11th of September, 2001. Almost nobody has heard of it. This is the General Slocum. It is the morning of the 15th of June, 1904, a Wednesday. The weather is perfect. On the Lower East Side of Manhattan, a neighborhood is waking up. They call it Little Germany. 50,000 German immigrants live here. It has its own newspapers, its own beer halls, its own schools. Today is the annual Sunday school picnic for St. Mark's Lutheran Church. The men have gone to work. It is a weekday, so the ones who go to the picnic are the wives and the children. They walk to the pier at 3rd Street. The children are in their Sunday clothes. They carry flags. More than 1,300 of them board a white paddle steamer called the General Slocum. She is 13 years old. 3 decks of painted white wood. She is licensed to carry 2,500 people. A German band is playing on her deck. At the gangplank, 2 families turn around and walk off the ship. One of them says they had a bad dream the night before. They will be the luckiest people in New York. At 9:30, the lines are cast off. The Slocum swings out into the East River. The children crowd the top deck to watch the city go by. Below them, in a small room near the bow, there is a problem nobody knows about yet. The room is called the lamp room. It is where the oil for the ship's lamps is stored. Inside it, right now, there are barrels of lamp oil. There is packing straw. There are oily rags. The floor is soaked with spilled oil. The crew light open flames in this room every day. Nobody is watching it. The Slocum has just passed 90th Street when a 12-year-old boy sees smoke. His name is John Connors. He runs to find someone. He tells a deckhand the ship is on fire. The deckhand does not believe him. The boy is told to mind his own business. He runs back. The smoke is worse. The captain of the Slocum is William Van Schaik. He is 62 years old. He has been sailing these waters for decades. Van Schaik is not told about the fire for roughly 10 minutes. 10 minutes. On a ship made of painted wood, down below, crew members finally reach the lamp room. The fire is climbing the walls. One of them throws charcoal on it. It does nothing. So they go for the fire hose. They pull it from the wall and turn on the water. And the hose bursts. The canvas has rotted straight through. It splits open along its length and collapses. They try another. It does the same thing. These men have never done a fire drill. Not one. In 13 years, this ship has never held a fire drill. They stand there and look at the flames, and they give up. One of them runs to the pilot house and tells the captain there is a blaze below that cannot be beaten. He says it is like trying to put out hell itself. Van Schaik now has to make a decision. The Manhattan shore is right there. It is a few hundred yards away. He can turn the ship and run her aground in less than a minute. He does not do it. Instead, he orders full speed ahead. He is heading for North Brother Island. It is a mile away. He will say later that the shoreline was crowded with oil tanks and lumber yards, and that beaching a burning ship there would set the whole waterfront alight. Maybe that is true, but here is what full speed ahead means on a burning ship. The Slocum is now driving forward at 16 knots, and she is driving straight into a north wind. The wind and the speed hit the flames like a bellows. The fire is blown backward, down the length of the ship, from the bow into the crowded decks behind it. He has turned his own ship into a moving furnace, and there are 1,300 people standing in it. The passengers run to the stern. They are pushed back by the heat. Some of them go for the lifeboats. The Slocum carries 6 of them, and the lifeboats do not move. They have been wired to the deck. Some of them have been painted over so many times that the paint has fused them in place. They are decoration. They were never meant to come off. Men tear at them with their hands and cannot free a single one. So the crew do the only thing left. They start handing out the life preservers. And now we come back to the thing in that courtroom. The Slocum carries about 3,000 life preservers. They are stacked in racks overhead. They are also 13 years old. Nobody has ever inspected them properly. Inside, each one is cork. Over 13 years, that cork has dried out and rotted. It is no longer cork, it is powder. When passengers pull them down from the racks, some of the jackets simply come apart in their hands. The canvas splits and gray dust pours out. And there is the other thing. When these life preservers were made, they had to meet a minimum weight to pass inspection. The rotten cork inside them was too light, so the manufacturer made up the weight. He sewed iron bars into the canvas. 7 bars of iron in a life jacket built to float a child. The mothers on that deck do not know any of this. They do exactly what any parent would do. They take a life jacket, they tie it tight around their child, and they drop the child over the side, away from the fire, into the river, and the children go straight down. The current here is called Hell Gate. It has sunk ships for 300 years. Not even a strong swimmer can fight it. Women jump after their children in long skirts and heavy petticoats. The cloth fills with water and drags them under. Most of these people cannot swim at all. In 1904, almost no woman in that neighborhood was ever taught how. Then, the hurricane deck collapses. The top deck of the ship gives way and drops the people standing on it into the burning wreck below. Somewhere between 100 and 500 people die in that one moment. And the ship is still moving. The great paddle wheels are still turning. People in the water are pulled into them. Van Schaik beaches the Slocum at North Brother Island. He runs her aground about 25 feet from shore. But he has beached her bow first, so the burning ship still hangs in deep water. North Brother Island is a quarantine hospital. It is where the city sends people with typhoid and smallpox. And now the nurses and the patients of that hospital come running down to the shore. They throw ropes. They throw anything that floats. Some of them swim out into the river and pull burning people out of the water with their hands. They save who they can. But the ship is now on fire from bow to stern, and the heat is so great that nobody can get near her. 2 tugboats reach the scene minutes later, and their crews pull between 200 and 350 people out of the East River. They are the only reason anyone survives at all. Of the roughly 1,340 people who boarded the General Slocum, 1,021 are dead. The fire, from first smoke to the collapse of the ship, lasted less than 20 minutes. It happened in broad daylight, on a sunny Wednesday morning, within sight of Manhattan. For days afterward, bodies wash up on the shores of the East River. Little Germany does not survive this. More than 600 families lose someone. Some families lose everyone. The streets fill with funeral carriages. There are mass burials for the dead who could not be identified. Within 5 months, more than a quarter of the families connected to the victims have left the Lower East Side. They cannot walk past the empty apartments. They cannot look at the school. A neighborhood of 50,000 people simply ceases to exist. Then comes the reckoning. And this is where it turns. President Theodore Roosevelt orders a federal investigation. The investigation finds everything. The rotten hoses, the wired lifeboats, the life preservers full of dust and iron. It finds that a federal inspector had certified this ship as safe just weeks before the fire. He had not tested the hoses. He had not tried to launch a lifeboat. He had not opened a single life preserver. He had simply signed the form. 8 men are charged. The captain, the inspectors, the owners of the steamboat company, and only one of them is ever convicted. Captain William Van Schaik is found guilty of criminal negligence for never holding a fire drill. He is sentenced to 10 years of hard labor at Sing Sing. The inspector who signed off on the ship is tried 3 separate times and never convicted of anything. The Knickerbocker Steamboat Company, which owned the Slocum and its rotten equipment, walks away. The manufacturer who sewed iron bars into children's life jackets is never punished at all. Van Schaik serves about 3.5 years. In 1911, President William Howard Taft pardons him. He lives to be 90 years old, and he insists until the day he dies that he did everything right. The General Slocum herself was raised from the river. She was rebuilt as a coal barge and renamed the Maryland. She sank again off the coast of New Jersey in 1911. Today there is a small marble fountain in Tompkins Square Park in the East Village, where Little Germany used to be. Most of the people who walk past it every day have no idea what it is for. 1,021 people died in 20 minutes, a few hundred yards from shore, because a fire hose was rotten, a lifeboat was wired shut, and a life jacket was filled with iron. The captain went to prison. Everyone who built that ship's failures went home. Who do you think should have been in that cell?